Bank and Trust. He's a connector, commercial lender, and community advocate. And he is part of the Rooted and Rising family. We'd love to hear his story. Thank you.
So telling stories is scary.
Yeah.
Telling stories with family and telling stories about things that you're passionate about, yeah, it can be pretty fun. So I'm excited to be here. I appreciate you all giving me a chance to introduce myself. As mentioned, my name is Bernard. I'm a relationship manager, commercial lender with Enterprise Bank and Trust. I moved here from the Bay Area about 30 years ago. I love Vegas and just really appreciative of being in an environment like this. So let's talk story. I'm gonna ask a question later today, and I don't think we're gonna be able to come up with any answers to this question in such a short amount of time, but I was hoping that we could just start a discussion, and hopefully you all are in agreement with that. But I do want to start with my personal story. So Layla, lovely Layla, where are you? She's over there in the back. Lovely Layla, 5 weeks old. Jovial Jasmine, 3 years old. I'm looking at them and I think of how they look through life, through their eyes, and I think about what I looked, my lens, and how I looked at life. I grew up with not a lot. My family in the Bay Area, we were on welfare and food stamps. I did spend some time in a children's shelter in Santa Clara County, and the government felt that it was necessary for me to be taken out of my home. And when I did live with my parents, my mom, she's originally from Hawaii. She was a maid. And my father, he was born in the Philippines. He was a janitor. And I think about, the backstory to what we do in life and how we define ourselves. When I think of my children getting an opportunity to do some of the things that I was able to do, I get excited. I was able to go to school. I worked full-time and got my undergraduate degree and had an opportunity to better myself and hopefully maybe do something different than what my family did. In my career, I grew up in the financial district working for banks. And I had an opportunity to create partnerships with people. And this is something that I wish my children would have an opportunity to do as well. I was introduced to a financial planner very early. I was 19 years old. And he taught me something about compound interest. So at 19, a ripe age of 19, I started having money taken out of my account. And it was only 20 bucks, but it was a habit. And it never stopped. And as I made more money, I put a little bit more in. And I was also introduced to business clients. And you get to sit with these guys and they talk about what they're passionate about, and they share some pretty insightful things that I wanted for myself. For example, one business owner said, hey, I just want to start buying real estate. Her husband was investing in the stock market and he lost all of his money, but her real estate portfolio, she had 25 homes. It held that family together. So I said, I want to buy homes. So at 24, I bought my first property in Silicon Valley, and my wife and I, who's here as well, we started purchasing properties to the point where we had 4 right before the Great Recession. We had some in Hawaii, Bay Area, here in Vegas, of course. And that recession, it just hit us hard. And a couple years after that recession, Marissa knows this story. Oops. A couple years after that recession, something happened in 2010, and that's when I'm going to go back to the beginning of my story. I was 30 years old. Lovely Layla there was 5 weeks old, and I haven't done this story with my kids in the room, so forgive me. But and my oldest daughter was, it was her 3rd birthday, and so what happened with me is at that time in my early 30s, I went to the other side. I suffered a heart attack, and my wife was standing in the back room there. She helped me come back. And I understood I have a purpose now. And when I was younger, I had this fire. I wanted to do better. And then the heart attack happens, and now I want to do better for those people. And I meet a financial planner who sets me straight, and I'm very proud to say that my wife and I are retiring in 10 years. And, I think what happens is from that experience, I get this empathy. I have this empathy for the underdog. And I don't know where that came from. Well, obviously I know where it came from, but sometimes it's a little crazy because I look at myself and say, whoa, how you want to help? And I actually am going to ask you to help. So today I'm going to turn it on you, each of you. And I want to, as I mentioned, start a discussion. And I want us to answer a question. The question is, how can each of you be empowered to help the next generation to ensure that we get financial security? Because finances, to me, equals calmness. But we need a little framework. So I understood that you also want to have values in your life and identify those values. What's most important? And if you're not performing every day, meeting those values, then relook why you're spending time doing those things. And it'll guide us. These values are so important. Girls, you've got to know, if you don't have values down, you're doing things for nothing. And also have a timeline. What we want to do is share the next generation, let them know, create a timeline. What do you want to do when you're 20, in your 30s, in your 40s, in your 50s? Because as I just explained, time is not guaranteed. And so if we can look back when we're retired and say, hey, I was able to hit certain milestones in my life, guess what? You're successful. Regardless of how people see you, you're successful because you met certain goals. So there's another book I read, it's The Millionaire Mind by Thomas J. Stanley. He interviewed a whole bunch of millionaires in the 80s, and he said, what are some commonalities between these guys? And one of the things he talked about was he helped me understand my relationship with my wife, who I met when we were 17. And he, in the book, talks about how important it is to get a good partner. Because what happens if you don't choose the right partner and you have to reset and restart, that can be very costly to you and your finances. So for the next generation, we want to let them know, hey, find somebody who you love, stick with them, because they'll stick with you. Yeah. And also to the next generation, we want to share with them that, find a planner, find somebody, find a professional to help you. If you're a business owner, understand how important a relationship is with your lender, because you've got to understand there's debt service coverage ratios, all these calculations bankers run to make sure that you can get the best interest rate. And sometimes people walk into those conversations not knowing how to do that. So we want the next generation to learn about calmness, learn about balance, learn about finances, learn about leverage. Leverage your time, it's very scarce. And we also want our next generation to learn about partnerships. It's important. It's important. Make good relationships. So in closing, I'm going to repeat the question. How can you be empowered to help the next generation with financial security? Obviously, we're not going to come up with answers today, but I hope we can continue the discussion. Feel free to reach out to any of us in here. I'm here to help as well. And I want to just say thank you for your time and thank you to my family for being here. I appreciate this.